All right, today we're talking about how to build iconic brands, and you'll hear a story about how to navigate major technology and life changes. My guest today is Tracey Felicidade Jones, and I'll tell you more about her in a second, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the Smart Business Revolution podcast, where we feature top entrepreneurs, business leaders, and thought leaders and ask them how they built key relationships to get where they are today. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here, the host of the show. You know, if you've listened before, every week we have smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. And if you check out the archives, we've got Netflix, Grubhub, Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, YPO, EO, Activision, Blizzard. Lots of great episodes for you to check out. And of course, this episode is brought to you by our company, Rise 25, where we help businesses to give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. How do we do that? We do that by helping you to run your podcast. We're the easy button for any company to launch and run a podcast. We do three things: strategy, accountability, and full execution. We even invented our platform, Podcast Copilot, which all of our clients use. So if you want to learn more about all of us, you can go to rise25.com or email our team at support@rise25.com. All right, I'm excited to have today's guest here today. As I said, Tracey, she's the founder and CEO of Trace Brand Building. It's a global branding and marketing agency. It's got operations in South Africa and in the United States. And she's going to share her story of how she came over here to the United States from South Africa, and also evolving the business in the age of AI, which is affecting every agency out there today. But Tracey, it's such a pleasure to have you here today. And first, let's start with your story. So you actually were born in the United States. Your father was a doctor, and then that brought you to South Africa, where you lived most of your life until not that long ago, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago or something like that, when you decided that the violence in South Africa was too much and that you had to come to the United States. So first of all, what was it like growing up in South Africa, and what was that experience like for you? I guess you're a bit of an outsider because you were American living in South Africa at the time.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Yes, you're right on the money. Was born in New York City, and my whole family is from South Africa. So when I was about 2, we went back to South Africa. Grew up there, ended up going to boarding school, and that was in the height of apartheid. So very, very evident. You could not have. Basically, they called them black and white benches. You weren't allowed to have, if you were of a different color, you weren't allowed to sit on certain colored benches. It was pretty extreme. I was around, Mandela was released from prison. And then the country just started going downhill after Mandela passed away, unfortunately. So crime and corruption kind of flooded everything. As a result, uptake of regular municipality offerings just kind of collapsed. We have what we call load shedding, which is rolling blackouts because of the lack of infrastructure upkeep.
Which for a company like yours, I'm sure, is debilitating. If you don't have power, you can't operate.
Totally. I mean, we would. So we're a full service agency. So we do everything from strategy through to TV commercials. And we would have to book, when we had our last TV commercial, I'd have to book a generator, because who knows if the power went out. We got to think of plan A, B, C, because DEF is probably going to get stolen, hijacked. Very real challenges, which is why I think South Africans do have a bit of a grit, and we just make a plan. We just kind of get on with it. And I remember we had a photo shoot. One of our clients has a frozen dessert, and as the dessert got delivered, literally the driver was hijacked, or carjacked, as you call it in the US. So. It was at that time where we just decided, it was now like 2019. I went through some quite intense sessions. Our neighbor was shot on the head. And I also helped someone escape an attempted murder at a wellness retreat, in inverted commas.
Oh, geez.
And that's when I just realized there's got to be more to this. This is not a life that you can live in. There was also a lot of changes in the government. So something called Black Economic Empowerment. So you would have to sell majority of your business to be able to do business with large corporations. And I'm like, I'm not buying into this. My whole team is diverse. My whole team is a rock star. I just want to work with good people. And luckily I was born in America. So I'm a US citizen. And that's where we decided, I've got a 12-year-old boy. He's probably going to have to be entrepreneurial.
He was probably what, 8 or something when you came over here?
Yeah, he was 8. And I'm like, it's not fair for me to make those decisions for him when I have the opportunity to offer us all a better life.
What was it like for him when you said to him, we're going to move to the United States?
Initially upset. Little kiddos, they're attached to their
Yeah.
friends. My whole family was still back there.
Yeah.
But he's flippin' resilient. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we underestimate how resilient children are, and we did a lot of traveling. So he's just happy. He just kind of fits in wherever we go, and
Yeah.
and and it's become part of his life, really, traveling and adapting. And in 2019, we did a road trip to see, okay, where are we going to live? And I had mapped out 6 places that I thought I could live in based on my youth. When I was 20, I was in the States
Yeah.
for 2.5
Tell us
years.
the story. You had been in the States working at a camp, and this is what brought you to Colorado. Tell us the story.
Yeah, I'll try and keep it short and sweet because some people say it could be a movie. But I actually studied a Bachelor of Science, dietetics. And after college, everybody was going to to check out other countries. A lot of them were going to the UK. And at that point, I was like, I'm going to go check out America because I can.
Yeah.
So I got a job at a summer camp coaching tennis in upstate New York. And when I was there, I met all these camp counselors. I'd never experienced a summer camp. It was something completely foreign and different to me.
Hmm.
Anyway, I ended up meeting these fabulous Australians, and I ended up buying an old ambulance with one of the guys from the summer camp.
As one does, as one
As
does.
one
Yeah.
does when you're
Okay. Yeah.
20, with
Uh-huh.
life choices.
Right.
And then we were like, okay, guys, like, what do you want to do? Like, and then before we knew it, there were 15 of us that decided we're going to just go on an adventure. And one of our other friends bought one of those wagons, those brown
Uh-huh.
wagons. And between the two, the ambulance and that, we called our ambulance Big Jude. We traveled around the US, went to 42 states. It
Wow.
ended up being 2.5 years.
Two and a
And
half years with and all the people made it the whole time?
no, so as
No. Okay.
people's visas ran out, we would
Okay.
like drop them off at the airport, cheers, and we would keep going. So eventually there was 4 of us left.
How are
And
you funding this thing?
oh, we would stop and we would like wake up and be like, okay, guys, are we happy here? Yes, okay. And I would work as a waitress. The guys would do hard labor. They would do construction. So we
For
were
like a few weeks?
for like a few weeks until we
Okay.
got bored, and then we would carry on. And
Wow.
we could sleep in the ambulance as well. Like this is how old was I? 20.
Wow.
You know, I remember sleeping in the ambulance outside the White House back then, and just waking up. And then I remember we were in Hilton Head, South Carolina, and it was October, and started getting cold. And we're like, okay, guys, there's 4 of us left now. So what do you want to do? Well, let's go learn how to ski. Now, Dumber and Dumber had been released. This is how we make our life choices. A couple of years before.
Yeah.
So we were like, where are we going to go? Aspen. So we drove to Aspen from South Carolina and rove in Aspen, and the ambulance is at an angle because it's a 1990 Dodge. This is now in the year 1999. And I ended up working at the hospital as a dietitian at the Aspen Valley Hospital. I ended up working at the Little Nell Hotel as a concierge, and then I worked on the mountain as a chef. So the guys were cleaning spas at that point. So yeah, they then all of their visas ran out, and I stayed, and then I ended up going to Vegas where I became a blackjack dealer for 6 months.
This is
And
definitely a movie.
and then I had a bad car accident and ended up back in South Africa.
In the ambulance?
No, I'd actually just left the ambulance in Aspen. It's probably at Pitkin Airport somewhere. I hate to say that.
You left it at the airport, like just
Just
abandoned
left
it?
it at the airport. Yeah. I
It's
mean,
probably still there.
it's probably still there. Every time I go past, I'm like, oh, I wonder if Big Jude's around. But by that stage, just to circle around on your question, I had fallen in love with Colorado.
Okay.
Aspen being very different from Denver. But when we came back in 2019 to do that look, we fell in love all over again. And then my son got accepted at this really amazing entrepreneurial school called Aspen Academy, which is actually founded by an EO member.
Hmm.
And we were like, okay, it's a no-brainer. And I mean, we're an hour and a half. I mean, I can see the Rocky Mountains from my window. So it was just the fact that you can jump on a bike, not worry about your safety, be outdoors, it was just like, this is the place. And it's also business casual. At that point, I didn't know, am I going to open a division of my business or am I going to go back into corporate? Because I used to work at Nestle. So it was
Was your
like,
business self-sufficient enough that it could continue operating in Africa after you'd left and you could kind of manage it or monitor it from a distance?
totally, it's still going,
Mm,
still going. So we've done a bit of restructuring. The economy in South Africa isn't really good at the moment.
mm.
So we are kind of, the idea was always like keep our talent in South Africa, but grow the US clients. And that's what we've been doing really successfully for the last, it's been 4 years now. So
And there were limits with how much money you could take out and the exchange rate that you had to pay. So you ended up having to live really, it sounds like you had to live really cheaply, and you also kind of were like bootstrapping a new business without the benefit of the talent, the labor, the team that you had back in South Africa because you didn't want to rock the boat on that business.
totally. South Africa, you very used to, when I came here and I saw, oh, let me give you my business credit card and pay for the services. I was like, what is going on here? I don't want your credit card number. Like this is fraud. Like this is weird. Because in South Africa, everything's done ACH. There's no checks, there's no credit cards for business.
People use cash.
You have to use cash, or we call it EFT, electronic fund transfer.
Mm,
So I always had to have a pool of money on hand
mm,
because if I'm doing a TV commercial, I need to be able to upfront it.
mm,
There's no massive lines of credit. It's just business is just
mhm,
done differently to
mhm.
what it's done here, and most businesses do bootstrap. So when I came here, the exchange rate was really, really bad. It was 18 and a half rand makes $1. So we basically had to take our wealth and divide it by 18 and a half times
Mm,
when we landed. But it was like, well, we literally alive, and I don't say that lightly. We've been
yeah.
through it all. And money to me is, you just use your brains and your personality and go out and just make it happen. And
Right.
no one's coming to save you. And if it means that, we'll make the money back.
And I want to hear about how you found things to be different in the business world to be different when you got to Colorado, including your previous business was called Brand Spanking Marketing. And I'm a recovering lawyer, so
Okay.
you found that you were trying to sell to law firms, and that didn't ring true with them, so you had to change your name.
Yeah, well, we're all about brand. Like, do you look and sound the part? Because you've got 2 to 3 seconds to make a first impression. So the first thing is, what is that impression? And the second one is it the right impression? So we were obviously hustling. When we arrived in Colorado, we knew one person, and it was through a friend of a friend. So we literally didn't know a soul. So I was involved with all of this. I joined everything. I didn't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I ended up meeting a legal client at one of the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce after our sessions. And when we walked in the one day to announce ourselves, I heard the secretary say, "Oh, BSM is here." And I'm like, that's interesting. They're not using our full name. And
Mm,
at that point, we were starting to think, okay, what's going on here? Because marketing has got a bit of a mixed reaction. Some people feel like, what am I getting? Is it digital marketing? And when
right.
people talk about marketing generally, they kind of refer to digital marketing, not old
Hmm.
traditional marketing.
Hmm.
The word spanking, we also realized was a little bit contentious.
As
And
as other meanings here in the United States, yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
And we also realized the US market really likes to know, what is your niche? What are you really, really, really good at? So we were also like, okay, well, we need to drink the Kool-Aid. And if we don't think this is landing, act global, but think local.
Hmm.
So we rebranded to Trace Brand Building. And the story in that is that I'm tracing my steps back to the USA after so many
Mm.
years. We can trace your progress. We can uncover trace elements and jewels that you might be sitting on that you haven't realized. And it also happens to be a shortened version of my name. So
Yeah.
we rebranded that, and yeah, it's been fabulous ever since. And yeah, just basically, meeting people one by one and just networking, and it is exhausting,
Now, as
but
far
it's
as
good.
as far as the name goes, before we leave that topic, there are some founders who don't want to put their name in the title of their company because then it turns out that the client wants to work with you. They want to work with the person whose name it is there. Was that a concern for you?
Not really. Actually, when I speak with clients, very few actually think of me when they say trace brand building. Um, I haven't really gotten any pushback around that. It wasn't really a concern of mine. And some people don't actually make the connection. A lot of people don't make the connection. Um, so it was really built around the storytelling element. So
Okay.
luckily I haven't, because yeah, you don't want to be scaling. You
Yeah.
don't want it to be built around you. It's got to be scalable. So I
Yeah.
totally get that. But luckily
And
I haven't had that.
did you find that I mean, you're an American with a South African accent who grew up in South Africa. Never mind this 2.5 years of going to more states than I've been to, and I've lived here my entire life. Did you find that there were like cultural barriers, or did you find it hard to get your initial clients?
You know what? Interestingly enough, yes, everybody comments on the accent. They think I'm from New Zealand or Australia. We all do sound similar to most people.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me at all. So a lot of the times people will ask you a question, but they won't actually be listening to your answer because they're listening to your accent. So I
Yeah.
find that's quite interesting.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know what? I mean, I think that it's one of the hardest things in business today is to be memorable, to be
okay,
remembered, because there's so many people in business.
totally.
And so, that just that one little thing, which is a little bit different, can often make you more memorable in the mind of people that meet you,
Yeah.
versus like 10 other Tracys they've met.
Totally. And I've had that comment before. It'll be like I've gone to business meetings where there's a networking group and I'll be talking to someone and then someone will spin around and it'll be, I remember you. You're the girl with the accent. So,
Right,
so
right.
it has happened a
Yeah, I
few times.
remember you. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
remember, but
Yeah.
but hopefully for all the good reasons. But
Yeah.
I've actually found interestingly enough, I came here feeling very, I'm naturally a very positive person. But you come here, you're coming to the USA. It's like the market, the leading market in the world. So you come here feeling a little bit like intimidated to some extent. And what I realized is actually I have found it more challenging for business in South Africa than it has been in America because the barrier to entry or there's less vetting. I won't say vetting, but like in South Africa, you always have to make sure that you're an approved vendor on this list. You have to make sure, have you got your Black Economic Empowerment status? What is your certificate number? It is very much a boys' club. And it was kind of, and there's big agencies and that's it. So I always felt it was easier. It's almost easier doing business in the US. I find that the way we also approach things is very, very different. A lot of brands, a lot of people come to us and say our marketing isn't working, and I don't know why.
Hmm.
And then I'll say, okay, well, what is your brand archetype? And then a lot of the time I get this vacant look. And I'm like, that's the problem right there. Because if you don't know who you are and what your archetype is, then how do you know what messaging to use? How
Mm.
do you know if you look appropriate or not? How do you know what pain points you're solving for? And how do you know if you're using the right channel? So that approach has been fabulous because it's a lot of fresh thinking. It's what I hear from clients. And that's really the fundamentals that I learned at Nestle that I then decided to bring in to my agency because there was a gap of truly understanding brand and then bringing it to your marketing campaigns instead of just having pretty pictures.
So talk about you. Yeah, so you'd worked at Nestle when you were in South Africa, which is I think the largest food company out there in the world.
Well, yeah.
And now you're helping other smaller food companies amongst other clients as well. But talk a little bit about some of the clients that you've worked with. There's a Dr. Oetker, I think it is, the largest frozen pizza group in Germany or in Europe.
Yeah, my background being a dietitian, I naturally gravitated towards food and wellness. And then also coming from a medical family, I was also in medical sales. So kind of food and medical was kind of what we put out, played with for about 8 years. And then we kind of expanded because what we really believe is brand is brand. And once you understand brand, you can be industry agnostic. In fact, I hesitate when someone says, I only do this category because my team is going to get bored. You want different thinking. How can I ethically say, you've got the best Ford? And then I go and tell Mazda, you've got the best Mazda. Like for me, it's conflict of interest.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we've worked with fabulous medical and food brands, as well as a Chamber of Commerce, lawyers, gosh, so many different industries.
Hmm.
Dr. Oetker they actually invented baking powder, and they're a family-owned business in Germany, and they are a global brand. So we looked after their account in South Africa for about 8 years, and everything from TV commercial through to brand launches, through to in-store point of sale, billboards, radio, in-store sampling, digital advertising. Then they bought a frozen dessert company, which we then took through a full rebrand. Other companies, we've worked with Novartis. We got them a Guinness World Record in South Africa. We've worked with like a lot of pharmaceuticals. Also,
What was the Guinness World Record for?
the most amount of spirometry or lung function tests done in 8 hours. So
Okay.
they wanted to launch this product for chronic asthma and COPD.
Uh-huh.
And they wanted to do a campaign inside a doctor's room. And we're all about think out the box.
Yeah.
I said, guys, someone's going to come to your doctor's rooms. They can't breathe. They're not going to take in anything around you. Let's do something disruptive, and let's go to the longest ultra marathon in the world, where
Mm.
all of your runners are captive audience, and let's test their lung function.
Mm.
So we did that, and we kind of did a little bit of creative branding and massive balloons that we developed in the shape of lungs,
Mm.
and yeah, it's just thinking differently and
Yeah.
standing out, but being authentic and true to your brand archetype.
So cool. That's so cool. What a cool idea. Um, I want to ask you about AI and how that's affecting your industry. It's affecting lots of agencies. How do you see it affecting you?
So we always say to our team, and they've said, like, are we going to lose our jobs? I'm like, no, you're not going to lose your jobs, but you will lose your jobs to people that know how to use the technology and adapt to it. If we just stand in the corner and freak out, that's not going to help with anything. We have developed our own SaaS platform for social media. We have also, we don't use AI for writing or any of that stuff, but it helps us to test things. So A/B test. We've done advert designs where, Utah is the state over from us, and one of our clients had an advert that we needed to retouch. And in the background were the Utah mountains, and they needed to redo a fire pit. And one of our designers had to make sure that, we could reproduce that image, but make sure that the Utah mountains in the back looked like Utah mountains, although it's the Rockies. It's a very different look to Colorado. So it's using clever technology like that, that we've been able to keep ahead. Bruno heads up our digital division, and he's an AI buff. He's been using AI for 10 years. And it's all about the prompt, like how effective are you at the prompt? And also, it's also about AI. We say it's average intelligence, okay? It's the quality of the person that's putting the prompt in and analyzing it. Like, you still need an expert to understand what brand archetype is. You can't just be a layman. You got to ask the right questions. So we're absolutely adopting it in clever systems and processes, and where we can. I think more than ever now, we had a conversation with one of our creative directors, and I said, how do you feel about AI and all these, video platforms? And he's like, well, actually, it's highlighting us even more, because what you're going to start seeing, and we've noticed it, is a lot of average design is out there. Everything starts looking the same. And that really allows us to be separated, because we are, I hate to say it, but we are flipping brilliant at design and brand building. And it's going to highlight the difference even more so. So, yeah, we adapt it and we learn, and you don't want to be like Blockbuster, who held on to their ideals when
Right.
Netflix was trying to buy them, because they didn't want to let go of you got to swim with the current.
They're
and adapt.
stuck on the model that had gotten them where they are. Yeah.
Totally.
And we're kind of putting their head in the sand for a long time.
Totally.
Yeah.
So adapt or die, and yeah, it's just about boxing clever and looking around the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you about kind of like, where do you see the industry going? Like, what gets you excited now? You're established now in the United States. As you said, like the economy here or the market here feels in some ways more achievable. There's more possibility for you. Um, what do you see what are you excited about, like as you look to the future?
Well, it's always the lens through which you look, right? So I just see opportunity everywhere. Um, I, I really believe that if you can dream it, you can achieve it. And you've got to stay away from the fear mongering. And really, if you have a passion deep inside you, then go for it. Like what's holding you back?
Hmm.
And I believe that we are going to be one of the leading independent agencies in the country. We are very specialized in our brand building, and about storytelling, bringing that authentic story and campaigns, which people fall in love with.
Hmm.
People buy brands because of the emotions that they make you feel, and what is that story that you're telling people? So I believe trying to build a little bit of an empire here, like a market leader in the design and branding space. And
Yeah.
I truly believe that anybody can make their dreams come true. And especially coming from Africa, where you see so many things that you can't do, and the opportunities that are around us in America, you can't take that for granted. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are like, oh, but we're going downhill, or, there's troubles, there's issues everywhere.
Yeah.
But are you going to let external factors control you, or are you going to take control of your narrative and your life
Yeah.
and act accordingly? Because if we just wait to see what everyone else does, then you're wasting your time, in my view.
I want to ask a selfish question, because
Both.
you mentioned earlier your son is got into this entrepreneurial school, and we talked about AI that's going to affect the next generation. And I actually this afternoon am participating in my first meeting on the advisory board for our local school district on AI,
Oh, okay.
which I'm super excited about. But I want to ask you, what do you think is next for this younger generation that's going to grow up with AI all around them? And everyone talks about, like, the next generation is going to need to be more entrepreneurial. Certainly, a lot of jobs seem to be going in that direction towards more entrepreneurial positions. But what are your thoughts on that? Like, what do you say to the younger generation?
I think to the younger generation, more than ever now, critical thinking is important. Being able to ask and understand the right questions. I think that, as I mentioned before, you still need the expert to feed and interpret the results of AI. But I mean, at their school, they're doing 3D modeling, they're doing advanced STEM, advanced STEM courses. AI is just getting better and better. I mean, look how much it's advanced in the last year or so. So I think we are going to be living in a world where we have, androids and bots doing laundry and that kind of stuff. And,
I can't wait.
it, yeah,
Do
right.
my laundry, clean my dishes, please.
Make me a five-course dinner,
I
please.
know. Yeah.
But I think there's a couple of things that are never going to go away, and that's true personal connections, true relationships. I think if somebody has got good critical thinking skills, is self-aware, is kind, is honest, and can build good relationships, they're going to be streams ahead of other people because so many kiddos these days are locked to their screens and they don't know how to interact necessarily. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a real thing though. Those COVID kids, they had problems communicating after COVID, and
Yeah.
that's a real thing. And some of the teachers are saying, yeah, we noticed that the grades that were affected, it was a real thing. So I think there is that gap. Um, so I do think, yes, AI is going to transform everything like the cell phone did, like the computer did. But now more than ever, I firmly believe that relationships are more important than ever
Yeah.
because I always say your network is your net worth. And you're one conversation away from something that could change your life.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Yeah,
And
for
be
sure.
kind,
Yeah.
like help everyone along the way. Like, what's the point if you can't, lead with love or be kind or just be real? Like if you're facing challenges, then just be real about it. And so it's a difficult one. I don't think it's going anywhere. It's getting perfected. I haven't embraced it as much as my husband keeps saying. You got to know everything about AI. I'm like, No, that's why I've got you as the super who on my team. Like, I don't need to know how everything works. I've got experts around me to do that. I don't have a passion for digital, but I've got a passion for brands and the
Mm,
vision. So let me lean into my zone of genius and let
yeah,
my team embrace everything else. And yes, we have regular lessons and we have team conversations, but I don't believe you can't be a specialist in absolutely everything. Yeah, it's
true,
impossible because
true,
then
true.
you'd be, a man of many, many worlds and not really an expert in any. So,
Yeah.
it's here to stay. Let's just watch the space. But I wouldn't say rest on your laurels. I think productization is going to be a big thing. I think tradesmen are going to be killing it. Your builders, well, actually, your builders could be going away now that we think about robots and stuff like that. But there's still going to be a huge demand for personal skills.
Yeah. And it's gonna be a while before we have armies of, bots that are using a hammer to build a house and things like that, or to
Coming to brush our teeth first.
unclog a toilet or something like that. Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, we may get there. Who knows? But yeah, it'll take a little while. Well, Tracy, this has been great. I'd love to wrap up with my last question, which is my gratitude question. I'm a big fan of giving our guests a little bit of space at the end here to acknowledge anyone who's helped you in your journey. Such a crazy story from the ambulance, 42 states around the United States, to growing up in South Africa and making it over here to the United States. Who would you want to acknowledge, thank or shout out?
There's probably three things that jump out at me. My dad is very, very old school, very ethical. He always taught us, do the right thing when nobody's looking. You got to sleep at night. So I love his work ethic that I kind of embraced. And blessing me to move overseas. That was a big thing. Also, I went through a valley in my business quite recently, and that was a bit of a shock to the system because, obviously having clients not pay you, and you're used to having this little nest egg in South Africa to pay for TV commercials, and you don't have that. I was completely floored, and more than anything else, I was blown away by my EO community and my forum. And when I chatted, and I'm in the Colorado chapter, when I chatted to my chapter, they were like, EO was made for this reason. It's not when we're high-fiving each other in the hallways.
Yeah.
It's when we're in the valley that you actually are there for each other. And my forum have just been like, oh my God, like we had a meeting about everything. And so I've been super grateful for that. And then the most recent thing to challenge the way I think is I've just joined Benjamin Hardy and Blake Erickson's scaling program it's called scaling.com. And they wrote a book, The Science of Scaling. And that has really challenged the way I think about business, the way I think about timelines, the way I use time as a tool. And just be bold and think differently and go from growing to truly scaling, which are completely different. So I think those are the three things that stick out for me for now. But and also just grateful to be in this amazing country and be able to start over from zero and
Yeah.
build it. And it's just been amazing. I'm super grateful to be here.
Oh, well, I loved your story, Tracy. Thank you for sharing it. Where can people go to learn more about you and about Trace Brand Building?
So I'm on LinkedIn pretty much every day. It's Tracey Felicidade Jones. And our website is tracebrandbuilding.com. So you can follow us on that. My email address is Tracey with an E, Tracey at tracebrandbuilding.com. And all of those details are on our website. So
Great.
would love to connect, have authentic conversations, and go build your brand and be authentic and have fun in the process. For me, that's joy
Great.
is one of our core values. So have fun in what you do.
Great, Tracy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Business Revolution podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.